Welcome to my YouTube channel Wise Whispers, where silence speaks. The first thing I noticed was her voice. Low, calm, calculated, not the voice of the woman who laughed at dinner or asked me how my day was. Not the voice of a loving wife. This voice was different. I'm gonna get divorced soon and have it all. I froze in the hallway. At 64 years old, I thought I had seen enough of life to not be shocked by much. I had buried my wife, raised my son alone, built a life brick by brick. I believed I understood people. But in that moment, standing outside the kitchen door, listening to my daughter-in-law speak those words so casually, I realized something chilling. I had been completely wrong about her. Chapter 1. The life I built. My name is Jackson, and I am 64 years old. I wasn't born into wealth. Every inch of what I owned came from years of sweat, long nights, and sacrifices most people never saw. After my wife passed away when my son Ethan was just 12, I became everything: father, mother, provider, protector. I missed promotions to attend school events. I skipped meals to pay for his education. I worked weekends, holidays, anything to give him a better life. And when Ethan grew up into a kind, hardworking man, I felt proud. When he introduced me to his fiancée, Lily, I thought life had finally rewarded us. She was charming, beautiful, smart, or at least. That's what I believed. Chapter 2. The perfect mask. Lily fit into our lives too perfectly. She called me dad within weeks, cooked my favorite meals, asked about my health, laughed at my old stories. Ethan adored her and I foolishly trusted her. They got married within a year. I even put my house, in Ethan's name before the wedding. You've earned it, I told him. But what I didn't know was that I had just made the biggest mistake of my life. Chapter 3. The overheard truth. That afternoon changed everything. I'm gonna get divorced soon and have it all. I stood there, heart pounding, barely breathing. Lily continued on the phone. He trusts me completely and his father already transferred the house. Once I file, I'll take half of everything. Stomach dropped. I wasn't just shocked, I was betrayed. Chapter 4. Silence before the storm. I didn't confront her, not yet. 64. I had learned something important. Truth doesn't need shouting, it needs timing. So I stepped back quietly and started watching, observing, listening, and what I discovered over the next few weeks was worse than I imagined. Hidden bank accounts, secret meetings, messages with a lawyer. This wasn't a moment of anger, it was a plan. Chapter 5. The plan. If she wanted to play a game, she had chosen the wrong opponent. I may have been old, but I wasn't weak, and I wasn't naive anymore. I contacted an old friend of mine, Marcus, a retired lawyer. After explaining everything, he leaned back and said, "Jackson, she thinks she's smart, but she made one mistake." "What's that?" I asked. "She underestimated you." 6. The truth unfolds. We reviewed everything: the house transfer, the finances, the legal loopholes, and then Marcus smiled slightly. "You still have a chance." Turned out that while I had transferred the house to Ethan, there was a clause, a protection clause I had signed years ago without thinking much of it, a clause that allowed reversal in case of financial manipulation or coercion involving family assets. Lily didn't know, but soon she would. Chapter 7. The breaking point. The confrontation came on a Sunday evening. Dinner was quiet, too quiet. Finally, Lily spoke. "I think Ethan and I need some space." Ethan looked confused. "What do you mean?" She sighed dramatically. "I'm not happy. I think we should separate." On cue, just like she had planned. Chapter 8. The truth revealed. That's when I stood up slowly, calmly, and said, "Or should we talk about the phone call instead?" Silence. Lily's face turned pale. Ethan frowned. "What phone call?" I looked directly at her. "The one where you said you'd divorce him and take everything." The room froze. Chapter 9. The mask falls. For a moment, she tried to deny it. But lies crumble quickly when faced with truth, especially when you have proof. I placed the recordings on the table. Yes, I had recorded her every word, every plan, every lie. Ethan listened, and I watched his world break. Chapter 10. The collapse. You planned this." Ethan whispered. Lily's silence was answer enough. The woman he loved never existed. And just like that, the illusion shattered. Chapter 11. Justice. Within weeks, everything changed. The clause was activated. The house reverted back. The legal case turned against her. And instead of walking away with everything, Lily walked away with nothing. Chapter 12. Healing. Ethan didn't speak much after that, not to her, not even to me at first. Betrayal changes a person, but slowly he came back. One evening he sat beside me and said, "Dad, I'm sorry." I shook my head. "You trusted someone, that's not a mistake." 13. A new beginning. Life didn't go back to how it was, it never does, but it moved forward, stronger, wiser, and more careful. At 64, I learned something I wish I had known earlier. Not everyone who smiles at your table belongs in your home. Chapter 14. The silence that followed after Lily left. The house felt empty, not peaceful, just hollow. At 64, I had learned that betrayal doesn't end when the person walks out. It lingers, in the walls, in the quiet, in the way people avoid each other's eyes. Ethan barely spoke. Days passed where he would sit in the living room, staring at nothing. The same room where he once laughed with her. I didn't push him. Pain has its own timeline. Chapter 15. The truth gets worse. One evening, Ethan finally broke the silence. "Dad, there's something else." I looked at him carefully. His voice wasn't just sad, it was shaken. "She didn't just plan the divorce." He swallowed hard. "She was already moving money." Chest tightened. "Much?" Ethan looked down. "Almost everything from our joint account." 16. The hidden damage. That night, we went through every financial record, and what we found was worse than either of us expected. Small withdrawals over months, transfers that didn't raise suspicion, a pattern so carefully designed that it could easily go unnoticed. But now we saw it clearly. This hadn't started recently. This had been building from the very beginning. Ethan clenched his fists. All of it was fake. I didn't answer immediately. Because sometimes the truth hurts more when spoken out loud. Chapter 17. The return. A week later, Lily came back, not loudly, not dramatically. She knocked softly. I opened the door. She looked different. No makeup, no confidence, no perfect smile. I just want to talk, she said. I studied her for a moment, then stepped aside. Chapter 18. The last conversation. Ethan stood in the living room as she walked in. Their eyes met, and for a moment, it felt like time rewound. But only for a moment. I made a mistake, Lily said, her voice trembling. I was scared. I thought if I didn't secure my future, I'd lose everything. Ethan's voice was calm, but cold. So you decided to take everything from me first. Tears rolled down her face. I didn't think it would go this far, I finally spoke. No, you just didn't think you'd get caught. Heavy, unavoidable. Chapter 19. The choice. Lily stepped closer. I'll return the money. I'll fix everything. Please just don't ruin my life. Looked at her for a long time, then said something I will never forget. You didn't just try to take my money, you tried to take my trust. And that's something you can't return. That was the moment it ended, not with anger, but with clarity. Chapter 20. Letting go. The legal process moved forward. This time there were no surprises. The evidence was clear. The intent was undeniable. Lily signed the final papers quietly. No fight left, no victory to claim. She walked away with less than she ever imagined, and far less than she risked everything for. Chapter 21. Rebuilding. Healing didn't happen overnight. For Ethan, trust became something fragile. For me, it became something guarded. But life has a way of rebuilding, even after it breaks. We started small, morning tea together, conversations that didn't revolve around the past. Slowly, the house began to feel like a home again. Chapter 22. A different kind of strength. One evening, months later, Ethan said, Dad, I think I understand something now. I looked at him. I thought being strong meant holding on to people no matter what. He paused. But now I see. Real strength is knowing when to let go. I nodded. At 64, I had learned the same lesson, just a little later in life. Chapter 23. The unexpected. Peacetime passed. Not everything was perfect, but it was real. And sometimes real is better than perfect. The laughter returned, different, quieter, but genuine. And for the first time in a long time, there was no pretending. Final moral. Not all betrayals come from enemies. Some come from the people you trust the most. But betrayal does not define you. Your response does. Holding on to the wrong people will only cost you more, but letting go creates space for peace. True strength isn't in revenge. It's in clarity, boundaries, and moving forward without bitterness.